The Dr. Ray Podcast is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio. Here's today's monologue with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Are you a liar? Now, don't answer that because I don't know if I can believe you. New survey basically says in so many words, we're a nation of liars. More than 3 in 4 Americans consider themselves a good liar. Some group called bonusfinder.com surveyed 6,100 Americans. That's a lot. To uncover the extent of dishonesty in the U.S. From telling lies to cheating, the survey uncovers the most common lies. Now, before I go any further, the statistics are really bad, but they're not surprising. Why would you not lie if you don't subscribe to God's moral system? Dr. Ray, you don't lie because it's wrong. Oh, wait a minute. If you don't really adhere to what God says, what Christ says, then you can lie. I don't want to lie. That's wrong. No, you don't understand. Your self-interest will overrule. Depending upon the circumstances, you're telling the truth. It will. Well, this is what this survey found. Don't be mad at me. I'm just reporting the results of the survey. Women, this surprised me, more likely to lie than men. Vermont is home to the biggest liars. 36% of the residents admitted to regularly lying. Men are more likely to lie to their partner than women. And this is interesting. 2/5 of Americans lie about whether they love someone. Over 1/5 of Americans admit to lying regularly, while over half admit to lying occasionally. It says here with 96% of Americans admitting to lying, it's no surprise that 3 in 4 state they are a good liar. Now, let me comment on this from a psychological and moral faith perspective. One simple question. What do you expect? Why would people not lie as their faith, as their belief in God and in living by His ways becomes weaker? Why not? Because you are then dominated by self-interest. Had a couple in my office once in a troublesome marriage. The fellow didn't necessarily believe in any kind of God-ordained commitment to the marriage, but he said his own personal value system said that when you make a commitment, you keep it. It's his personal belief. And I observed to him that I was impressed, because when most people have a personally based value system, when it runs up against being inconvenient, or it runs up against something that they would much rather do than their current state, self-interest rules. Well, sure enough, in time, he divorced his wife. And I was not surprised. I figured I don't know how long his own personally based commitment was going to rule out. Why would you not lie? If you're cornered, if you're denying responsibility, if telling the truth or being caught in a certain act would have repercussions you just wouldn't want to endure, why would you not lie? Now, unless you believe God says you don't do that, you would. Now, I don't doubt that many people say, well, I believe in God, but I still lie. Is it because of weakness? Or is it because that somehow your belief in God and in Christ doesn't really go so far as to say you just don't lie, no matter the circumstances. There are occasions when it is better to lie as you define it. So here's, they listed these states in order. Now, again, this is just their survey, so I don't know what it means. But you got 1 Vermont, 2 Maine, 3 West Virginia, 4 Kansas, 5 Wyoming, 6 Alaska, 7 South Dakota, 8 Hawaii, 9 Montana, 10 Utah. Which is interesting because Utah, in most other surveys, has a very high set of standards. It's very heavy LDS area, Latter-day Saints, and on other surveys, marriages and faithfulness and fidelity, those kinds of things, pro-life, they're generally well above the national average. When asked the question, 0 people in Vermont that they surveyed said they never lie. Never. Well, you know, it's interesting because that is a question on the MMPI, the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. There's a scale called the L scale. Some people in the vernacular call it the lie scale. And they ask you a number of questions that are designed to see if you're trying to fake making yourself look really good. And I think one of the questions is, I never lie. Well, obviously, pretty much all of us lie at some point, either for self-interest or out of weakness. But the point, I think, in this survey is when God says, don't do something, it's not good. It's not good for you, it's not good for society, it's not good for the people you love. Then he knows. He's a pretty smart guy, as my little 6-year-old son once said. But if you don't really give him that much credibility, if you intellectually recognize that he says don't lie, but it certainly doesn't apply to me in all situations, because some of my situations are pretty tough, and I got to look out for number 1. So it doesn't surprise me at all that you have such a high percentage of liars. So I guess what I would say is, if you want to be confident that somebody's not going to lie to you, tie that into how much they say or act like they believe in doing things God's way, that God's principles guide their lives.
More of Dr. Ray's monologues can be found on his website, drray.com. Monologues as well as full-length programs that the doctor is in can be heard at AveMariaRadio.net and EWTN.com/radio.